Thank you. Please be seated. Prefect joke of the day is, why did the plane crash? Because the pilot was a loaf of bread.
Thanks for that, Sarah. Anyway, welcome everyone to Colours, the sports colours and the fine arts colours as well. We've got a couple of guests in the chapel this morning, so I'd like to show them how Shawnigan sings in chapel, and I've chosen number 12, Guide Me, O Thou Great Jehovah. Let's show them how we do it. Please be seated. That was a Welsh anthem for Mr. Doyle, the Samuels, and all others with Welsh blood. I'd like to invite Mr. Murdy up, Director of Athletics, to launch into the colours.
Thank you. Good morning and welcome to this morning's color presentations. I think as most of you know, we're going to do things a little bit differently today. We're going to combine both the sport and fine art colors this morning. So we're going to try and keep things moving along fairly quickly, but I think it's important that we do also be aware of the fact that we're trying to recognize some students for some special accomplishments. At the same time, recognize those teams from this past term and their accomplishments as well. To start off, I'd like to sort of follow along the same path that the academic colors did earlier in the year, where Mr. Doig told us about his journey to Shawnigan. We are going to have the honor of listening to Mr. Pollock to start off, just to share a little bit of his story and how sport has played such a significant role in his life. Just before he comes up here, Mr. Pollock is I'm not sure how many people know, but an incredibly accomplished person, but he's also a very humble young man. So I'm going to brag for him a little bit, just to put this into the proper context as we're about to start the athletic celebrations. Mr. Pollock attended a school much like Shawnigan. He went to St. Michael's University School in Victoria as a young man, and at 16 years old, he left that school to go play down in Seattle for the Seattle Thunderbirds as part of the Western Hockey League. And that was the start of his 19-year 19-year professional hockey career. That's an amazing feat in itself. He played in the National Hockey League for the St. Louis Blues. He played in the Swiss Elite League, the DEL in Germany, and the KHL in Russia. And if that's not impressive enough, he also represented Canada, playing for Team Canada, winning a Spengler Cup, and also winning a World Championship. So therefore, it's my absolute pleasure and honor to introduce Mr. Jamie Pollock.
Thank you, Mr. Murdy. Good morning. This lectern is definitely not a place that I feel comfortable. I learned on Monday that the proper term for this is glossophobia. Thank you again, Mr. Lupton, for that wonderful lead into a special week here at the school. I think I'd be a little more comfortable in front of 15,000 people set up for a one-timer with the opportunity to win a big game than be standing here right now. I've always been passionate about athletics. At St. Michael's, I would play on every team that I could possibly play on. Rugby, badminton, basketball, you name it, I was asking if I could join. I just started taking hockey quite seriously when in the fall of 1994, up there on the Colts field, I was jersey tackled by a Shawnigan student. I'm sure not the technique that Mr. Murdy and Mr. Williams are teaching you rugby guys these days. That tackle turned out to break my collarbone, and that was the start of my career as a hockey player. Hillary Clinton, yes, Hillary Clinton, that's the one you're thinking of, wrote a book called It Takes a Village to Raise a Child. Throughout my life, I've been blessed with an awesome, ever-changing village, which now includes the Shawnigan Lake School community. To help me recuperate from that rugby injury, a family friend, Rick LaPointe, also an ex-NHLer, put in so many hours to help me get stronger, fitter, and ready to play hockey at the next level. Quickly, my collarbone healed, and that same season, I was a part of a team that won a provincial title. At the end of that summer and headed into grade 11, the head scout of the Seattle Thunderbirds drove up to Vancouver, picked me up to start my professional hockey career. This gentleman believed me when I was starting to lose hope of playing hockey at the next level. He taught me to never give up on my dreams. 16, now I found myself playing with mostly 19 and 20-year-olds who had to shave daily. I don't think I'd even had a razor in my hands by that point. Outside my high school read a sign in front of a metal detector, gun-free zone. I felt a world away from the pristine campus at St. Michael's. I grew up quite quickly and learned how to make time go by quickly on bus trips. After homework was complete, of course, I would listen to my Panasonic CD player, probably listening to Counting Crows, Oasis, or Weezer, and read a book or a magazine. I think that Christmas I received a Sega Genesis, which also helped time pass. After quickly doing the math, I figure I've spent nearly 2 years of my life on a bus or an airplane. I'm sure you've heard the saying, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. 2 days after my 18th birthday, my dad and I got on a plane to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where I was drafted by the St. Louis Blues in the 4th round. It was a very humbling and bittersweet day, as I was expected to be taken in the 2nd round. I sure was happy to have my dad there with me. Patience was a virtue, as each round lasted about 2 hours. There were so many people who had helped me get to that point: friends, teachers, family, teammates, billet families, and especially my mom and brother, who always challenged me to be better and work harder. As I signed my first professional contract, my agent, Bobby Orr, became an important part of my village. Here I was, 18 years old, in Boston, training at Harvard University in the morning and golfing with arguably the best player of all time in Cape Cod in the afternoon. It didn't seem real. Fast forwarding, I never thought that hockey would lead me to a fashion show in Nuremberg, Germany. I was there with a teammate taking in the festivities when I was asked to do an interview by a beautiful young reporter named Julia Tomano. It wasn't long after that I asked her if she'd like to change her last name. You now know her as Mrs. Pollock, and she is the wonderful mother of Elsa and William. Helping teammates through tough times, dealing with dental surgery on numerous occasions, doctors stitching me up between periods, receiving a call during practice to head to the hospital as my daughter was about to be born, hearing from a friend that the Yaroslavl hockey team's plane had crashed in Russia. I had 3 friends lose their lives in that tragedy. These have all been times when I've relied on my village to get me through. Here I am some 20 years later, and I look back at the role sport has played in my life, and I'm so thankful for all the opportunities I've been given, as well as the people who have been part of my village, and helped shape who I am today. Now, we are all part of each other's lives here at Shawnigan. We are a community of support for each other, and I'm thankful to be able to give back to young people such as yourselves. Don't forget to set your goals high, never give up, and use athletics as a platform to have fun, make lifelong friends and memories. That's all the time I have. Thank you very much, and I just want to congratulate all the winners of the Fine Art and Sports Awards this morning.
Thank you, Mr. Pollock. Lots of great messages there for everybody. Now for our color awards, or our sport color awards. As a reminder, junior color awards are for grade 10 students only, and they are awarded after a second nomination. Senior colors, or senior color ties, are awarded after 1 nomination, and they are for grade 12s only. These nominations are based off of your commitment, sacrifice, sportsmanship, and leadership that you've displayed throughout your seasons of play with your teams, teammates, and coaches. As I call out those students, first of all, I'm going to start off by calling out those grade 10 students that are receiving their first nomination. So as I call out their names, I would ask that they please stand and that we will recognize them at the end. So if I could just ask the rest of the student body just to wait until I've announced all 11 names from 5 different sports, and then we will recognize these students appropriately. For junior girls basketball, Renee Hogarth Rosmus, Mackenzie Regan, and Mimi Kobani. For Shawwood ice hockey, Amia Leroy. For junior boys basketball, Aidan Doherty and Tom Morrissey. For outdoors, Keely Ralph. And for minor basketball officials, Kiara Chan, and an honorable mention for Olivia Brigden. If you could all please stand. Now we're going to hand out the junior color pins. So those students that are going to be called up again have received their second nomination already this year. And so I would ask Mrs. Conroy and Mr. Lamont to please join me for the presentations. So the students, as you come up, please receive your pin from Mrs. Conroy and shake the hand of the headmaster. Again, I'm going to work through all of the different teams here, so we'll wait to recognize all the different teams and students at one time at the end. For midget boys, or boys midget varsity ice hockey, Owen Wheatley, Matt Strelitz, Craig Mitchell-Herman, start coming up guys please, Cole Fournier, Ethan David, Christian Shoemaker, Mac Ratzliff, and Marshall McDonald. Hold on, we're gonna call them all up. For boys midget prep ice hockey, Saya Tanaka Campbell. For girls prep ice hockey, Brianne Powell, Allison Moore, Jillian Turco. For junior girls basketball, Jerry Atkins, Abby Dyer, Kate Sanderson, and Mia Fahey. For junior boys basketball, Thomas Spillane. For indoor field hockey, Paige Murdy. And for dance, Danique Ura. Congratulations to all those junior students. So now we'll move into our Senior Color Award winners. And again, all these names that are being called out are actually receiving their single athletic colors ties. There are 19 girls and 18 boys, so we will call up the girls first, and then we'll call up the boys in a second round. So we're going to start off with the senior girls basketball team, Maria Guadarrama and Danae Gendel. Varsity ice hockey, Carl Swanson. Start coming up, please, guys. For squash, Carl, you wait. Oops. For squash, we have Annika Kurji, Gigi Young, Carolina Mies. For girls prep ice hockey, Sarah Rourke, Maddie Nicholson, Megan Boover, Eva DeBay, Jillian Moore, Taylor Northcott, Sage Brimacombe, Emma Hansen, Kiara Stecco, Colby Wilson, Michaela Christensen. For dance, McKenna Ellis and Meho Kishida. And for basketball minor officiating, Mia Lang. That's all our seniors. Congratulations to all those students. Now we'll go through the boys receiving their single colors ties. For boys varsity ice hockey, Carl Swanson. For boys prep ice hockey, Dalen Marlowe, Caleb McHugh, Jojo Tanaka Campbell, Jacob Fraser, Josh Van Unen, Cody Stockton, Keigo Hashisuka, Nathan Goliath, Kobe Bejozo, and Austin McIver. For outdoors, Freddie Wang. And for senior boys basketball, Charles Ash. Glad to see Dalen spend a lot of time with his hair this morning. Now there's a couple of students that may think that they've been forgotten, but they're not forgotten. So we will now go through our senior students that are receiving their double color awards. So again, these students, there's 7 of them. Let's please hold our applause till they come on up and receive their, or on stage to receive their tie. For senior girls basketball, Tolani Akinyasoye, Gabrielle Owen, Tatum Hayhurst, Lauren Spink. For boys prep ice hockey, Caleb Parkhouse. And for dance, Annika Bellero and Victoria Saldat. I do this every time. I've forgotten somebody already, or forgotten a group of students already. So my apologies to those male students from squash that should also be receiving their colors ties. My apologies completely. For squash, receiving their senior colors tie, Mitchell Cannert, Thomas Dryden, Will Johnson, and Aaron Wong. Congratulations to those squash athletes, and my apologies again. I thought I had a big enough font, but I think I need to see if I can find an even bigger one. The last thing I would like to do is just ask all of the students, whether you received your colors or not, to join me in thanking your coaches for all their time and efforts for working with you during term 2. If we can have a nice round of applause for them. And now we're going to move to the second part of the colors presentations, which is the fine art component, and I believe Ms. Hutchins is going to come up.
Good morning, students, and welcome guests. The arts could be the most important course you take in school. My name is Jennifer Hutchins. I am a teacher who works in the Learning Center, and I'm an artist teacher who works with students in the after-school studio art program. Let's do a quick experiment with the senior students. Stand up if you're a senior student who loved making art, singing, or dancing when you were a little kid. What? Okay, thank you. Now sit down. Now, stand up if you are in grade 11 or 12 and you are taking an art class, a music class, or a drama class in your daily schedule for credit. Not bad, not bad. Okay. Now, for everybody in the chapel, adults included, stand up if you think you have very little artistic talent. I thought so. Sit down, please. Have you heard the phrase, schools kill creativity? The world demands students who can think creatively and critically. As technology develops, it looks like we will have robots to do our basic work for us. However, as Lene Dalil, a 14-year-old homeschooled student, blogger, and passionate writer who speaks about education reform, writes, it is our mission to ensure that the next generation will be full of inventors, musicians, painters, mathematicians, who will in turn bring humanity to another level. But how? It's the arts. In art, as Peter London explains, we learn to make judgments, and this is a higher order thinking skill. How will I decide when my song, my painting, or my sculpture is finished? We learn that there are many different approaches to solve a problem in art, and we focus on process, not product. Mistakes are learning experiences, which always lead to new ideas. And it's such a contrast to my grade 9 math class. Studies show that creative people are better able to live with uncertainty because they can adapt their thinking to allow for the flow of the unknown. And life is full of uncertainty. Art helps us to connect with ourselves, figure out who we are, process things that happen to us, and figure out who we want to become and what we will stand for. While a journal of statistics on the amount of plastic in the ocean or the number of children suffering in poverty is necessary, it's often a single photograph, a film, or a song that actually moves us to act. Biologist Ellen Dissanayake writes that it is the degree to which art embodies and communicates experience that makes it unique and irreplaceable. When I asked my senior studio art students to tell me why they value art, many said that the arts let them relax and de-stress. And I thought about the stress that students feel. We're often really caught up with trying to find the right answer in school. But there are no right answers in art. There is no one interpretation. In my first year mixed media art class at Bishop's University in Lennoxville, Quebec, my first project assigned had no directions at all. My professor, Margaret Lawther, only provided us with a word, and the word was time. I had 3 weeks to produce something. Did I hound her with questions? Nope, not one. Did I feel anxious? Not really. It was more a feeling of excitement. See, Margaret had taught us that we needed to unlearn everything we had learned in school. We were to forget about rules and stop looking for the right answer, and I felt free. And soon after brainstorming and spending some time deeply focused, there were no cell phones yet. I decided I would wrap my entire self in saran wrap. I would call my piece the ultimate in body preservation. I recorded my voice with an attention shoppers message, inviting my class in at the end of the 3 weeks to walk around the platform I had created out of wood, to view the vials of face cream stacked in various displays which I had fashioned out of old paint jars, and to witness the ultimate in body preservation, posed on top of the platform, face twisted and writhing beneath the layers of saran wrap. This was my interpretation of the passage of time, and I got an A+. But it wasn't the only interpretation of the project. Each of us had creatively grappled with the concept of time, and each interpretation had value. Time was the one word given to me that began my journey in art making, and I urge all of you here at Shawnigan Lake School to see your time here as an opportunity. Whether you pursue a career in the arts, enjoy a hobby, or develop your creativity and problem-solving skills to help you succeed as a future business owner, I urge you to make the most of your time in the arts and to try as many different types as you can while you are here. And finally, when you're involved and immersed in the arts, you're often in a state of flow. You're completely focused on the task, and you forget about you forget about yourself. You forget about others and the world around you, and you lose track of time. There's actually some steps to achieving flow, and I'm going to leave you with the 8 steps that you can follow. Choose work that you love. Choose an important task. Make sure it's challenging, but not too hard. Find your quiet peak time. Clear away the distractions. Learn to focus on that task for as long as possible. Enjoy yourself. And number 8 is keep practicing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Hutchins, for a fantastic intro into our Arts and Activities Colors presentation. Good morning. Those of you who have been around for a few years will know that we usually award Arts and Activities Colors just once a year. Those of you who have been around perhaps as long as I have might remember a time when we awarded colors twice a year, but never this early. And those of you who have been around as long as Mr. Noble will remember when colors were referred to as black and whites. Oh, Mr. Noble, I see you back there. Sorry, maybe I should try that again. The pilot was a loaf of bread. Is that better? All right, I know. We'll carry on. The criteria for being nominated for Arts and Activities Colors is much the same as the criteria for academic colors and for what we've just heard in sport colors. This year, students can be nominated for their efforts in any of our arts or activities programs. The citation in the Gold Book reads, "Colors are awarded to students in grade 10 or 12 who demonstrate leadership, faithful and enthusiastic commitment, and a solid skill development in their art or activity. Recipients generally have 2 years of outstanding service in these after-school programs." Colors recipients should demonstrate consistently their exemplary commitment, effort, attitude, leadership, skill development, independence, and responsibility. About half of our programs will be awarding a select few colors this morning. These students will truly be exemplars for the programs for which they've been nominated. These arts or activities may still award more colors later this year in June, when the rest of our programs will also be awarding colors. As Mrs. Millen always reminds us with academic colors, if you don't hear your name this time around, it's not too late. We will begin with junior colors. I will read out the program for which they were nominated, but bear in mind this award represents superior effort both this year and last year, in whichever program they were enrolled in. If you hear your name, please make your way up to the front and receive your pin from Miss Agate and the headmaster, and remain here to gather for a whole group photo at the end. Please hold your applause until all names have been read. Junior colors. There are 7 people receiving their junior arts and activities colors this morning. For dance, Paige Murdy. For digital arts, Daisy Chen. You can start coming up. For figure skating, Caitlin Beck. For illustration and watercolors, Yuena Tong. For Model UN, Ainsley Fawcett. For robotics, Hannah Bitar. And for yearbook, Caroline Chen. Sorry, I Mr. Murdied that last name there. It's Caroline Cohen for yearbook, and she is not with us this morning. There are your junior fine art colors. And congratulations to them. And then, senior arts and activities colors are awarded to 22 students this morning. For Clayworks, Kiara Stecco. For dance, Haley Stevens. For digital photography, Jamie Bell, Holly Cumming, and Isaac Nelson. For film production, Freddie Wang, Byron Chang, and Dana Sellers. For homework helpers, Nicole Staples. For Model UN, Carrie Walker, Isaac Leroy, and Ariane Kokar. For musical theater, Amelia McIntosh. For pod and radio casting, Tatum Hayhurst, Georgia Cannon, and Esther Parrott. And for robotics, Josh Wheeler, Will Reed, Sophia Chong, and Gigi Young. And finally for studio art, Paige Doig and Kaylee Christensen McDonald. Congratulations to this first round of Arts and Activities Colors recipients, the few and the proud, and thank you for all that you guys do to enrich and enliven our arts and activities programs here at Shawinigan. I also would like to take this opportunity to thank all the arts and activities instructors, so if you would join me in giving them a round of applause for all the passion they bring, they're much appreciated. Thank you.
Right, congratulations to all those winners, and a very special thanks to Mr. Pollock and Mrs. Hutchins for those fine introductions to your two areas. It is the end of term, nearly upon us, and I hope that each of us can look individually back on our terms with great pride as to our contributions to the community of Shawnigan. Just on the back of Mrs. Hutchins' presentation there, I do want to flag up one thing that hit my screen earlier this week, and it was a music video that was made by a local artist with the support of Mr. Connolly, Mr. Smith in the recording studio. I think students were involved in it. And this song keeps playing through my head. I had a flight to Vancouver yesterday, and I found myself sort of humming it, flying into Vancouver. Even this morning, it's still playing away in my head. And it's actually been made into a music video. Some of you might have seen it, and I'm going to embarrass two students, Fernando and Magnus, who've created an extraordinary dynamic animation to go with this music video. And if they're in this room now, I'd like them to stand, please. Thank you both. I'll make sure you get an opportunity to see it at some point today. It's an animation, really, on the fairy tale of Rapunzel, and the song is called Heart is a Tower, and I strongly recommend it. And it also reminded me that some of you, I sometimes see her sitting in the Ritz Felting. We've got a fantastic fine arts instructor, Leola, who wrote to me a couple of months ago, and she was sort of punning on the word heart, H-E-R-T, and the word heart, H-A-R-T, because of course a mature stag, its Middle Ages name, was Heart, and she was talking about the heart, and she really talked about what distinguishes Shawnigan, as it is a heartfelt institution, and of course why that's important and powerful and symbolic that we have the stag as the emblem of the school. And just thinking about that video, what strikes me as we step towards the end of term is what distinguishes our community here at Shawnigan is that the heart is a tower. Shawnigan's heart is our tower. The heart is our strength. I really hope you have a wonderful holiday when it starts. And I'd like us to finish with the school hymn, number 1. Thank you for singing in such good heart. Have a wonderful day.